Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to WatchYouWant.com. Thanks for logging on. Now, if you look in a mirror, you might see the Panerai PAM00607 Ceramica, but on the other hand, what you're looking at is no reflection. It's one of 50 PAM00607 Luminor Submersible Destros made in ceramic exclusively for the Florence and Honk Kong boutiques of Officine Panerai. Now this is an exceptionally rare piece. Again, one of only 50 manufactured, so it's rare enough on its own terms. But just think off the top of your head, how many Destro submersibles do you see? Not many. So let's talk a little bit about this watch, why it's different, why it's great in a general Panerai Ceramica sense, and then what WatchYouWant.com's exclusive example brings to the table. So the first thing you're going to notice about this watch, of course, is the Destro mounting of the device protecting the crown. Now, Panerai's famous for this profile, specifically on their Luminor model, and even more pointedly on the 47mm submersible case here. When you have a crescent-shaped crown guard that fully encloses the crown with locking lever, there are going to be some complications for those who are left-handed and like to wear their watch on the opposite wrist. So Panerai creates these Destro models that can be worn comfortably by a lefty when worn conventionally on the non-dominant hand. So the fact that the Destro is designed for lefties does not make it impossible to use for righties. You can wear it as a righty, and in fact our founder and CEO O.J. Watley occasionally wears these watches just for a change of style. But if you're a lefty, this is the ticket. Now the other nice thing about this watch is guaranteed exclusivity. Now in 2012, the PAM508, the Ceramica Submersible, came out and it was a hit. But as a unit of, or rather as a edition of 1,000 units, that model is scarce but not unobtainable. The PAM607 is unobtainable. This is a watch you will never see. With 50 units scattered to the four corners of the globe, again, this watch was built for Florence and Honk Kong, and you can't get too much farther apart than those two locales. You're just not going to encounter these, even at the most ardent Panerista club meetings. This is an exotic piece in the strictest sense of the term. And everything that applies to a conventional Luminor Submersible PAM508 applies here. Now the watch has the 3-day power reserve, in-house Panerai movement with a couple of tricks. First and foremost, you're going to want to note that you can independently set the hour hand. So if you're traveling, for instance, from Florence to Hong Kong, you have the ability to move the hour hand, and I'm going to show you, independently of the minutes as you transit the time zones, and it can drive the date safely backwards and forwards, as you can see, with no consequence to the movement. So that's one of the key refinements of the 607 and the 508. Again, the exclusive look of the 607 is the attraction here. I'll mention one more refinement of the movement, but you can actually see the seconds hand, now stationed at the 3 o'clock position, stops when you pull the crown. It's called stop second or hacking motion, allows you to precisely set the watch to a reference time such as an atomic clock before traveling. Now, in addition to that, everything that made the famed 508 great is also great about the 607. You've got that Panerai 47mm 1950 case. Besides the fact that it's ceramic, you can see that it's more highly contoured, and it is the contours and the curvature of this case which is specific to the Panerai case designs that debuted in the early 1950s, the final evolutions of the combat dive watch. They just add a little bit, I feel, of articulation, a little bit of animation to make these cases a bit more interesting to look at, maybe even a little bit more refined than the early squat box-like 44mm Luminor cases. Moreover, this watch does feature the unidirectional diving bezel, so if you want to take this watch diving and actually use it in the field, you've got that ability to time your dive using the bezel, but maybe more practically, you have that almost mechanical built-in stopwatch. So if you want to time something from the minutes hand up to an hour, you have the ability to do that. Very practical. It's a feature that gets a lot of play in daily life. If you never dive with your watch, I can guarantee you will still use the rotating bezel. And like the case itself, the bezel is made of indelible ceramic. It's just as scratch-proof as a sapphire crystal. So if you're familiar with the sapphire crystals on modern luxury watches, you know, they won't scratch pretty much unless you really, really nail them, or you go straight at them with a diamond. The ceramic bezel, case, and crown guard are just like that. So you're getting a very durable watch that's going to hold its good looks long term. And it is a very good looking watch. The matte black dial features what's known as a dirty dial or simulated aged radium patina that kind of recalls the early Panerai vintage dive watches. When you see those watches today, the radium has aged the lume material to a beautiful, tan almost saddle color that's very attractive. And here, Panerai has simulated that look while retaining the luminescent qualities of the Luminova material. So you get the aged look without the dead loom. Plus, you get a color-coordinated contrasting stitch on the strap, which in the Panerai tradition is a very supple calfskin leather. Now on the back, you can actually see the Soloro Lanto Corsa, the famous manned torpedo of the Decima MAS, the Italian combat swimmers who first used Panerai watches. So right down to that detail, again, very true to its 508 predecessor, but completely unique in case and dial layout. Now this watch is available from watchyouwant.com with its full box and paper set. Again, only available at the boutiques in Florence and Hong Kong. You're not going to find one anywhere. They are sold out, but this one, having been sold in December of 2014, retains the full factory warranty. So in addition to the boxes, in addition to the technical manuals, in addition to the documentation of provenance and all papers, you are going to get the full protection of a Panerai factory warranty with this watch. It presents completely like new, having never been worn by an end user. This watch is an outstanding option for Paneristi who really want something different. If Panerai watches have been accused of being distinctive compared to other watches, but perhaps a bit generic amongst themselves, this is the antidote. A Destro Ceramic Submersible. You're not going to find another one like it, and you're certainly not going to find another 607. So check it out on our website, watchyouwant.com. We are the luxury pre-owned watch experts. I'm confident that if you check out this PAM00607 Luminor Submersible in the 1950 case, you will believe it is the watch you want.